Hi there, I'm Susan, your host of She Connects. Whether you're tuning in from nearby in my state of Minnesota, across the country, or somewhere around the world, I'm so glad that you are here. With so many outlets of information nowadays, I'm committed to adding value to your life and faith by offering content that helps awaken you to your purpose, align you to biblical truth, and activate you in your God-given gifts. You will hear from me and from time to time guests to the show that I know you will also appreciate hearing from. And now, without further ado, let's dive into this week's conversation. Hey ladies, welcome back to the show. I'm glad that you're here and you're going to love this week's guest. She's a friend of mine that I met, maybe a couple of years ago. Maybe Lindsey will maybe correct me on that. Maybe she has a better memory than I do. But anyway, if you are new to this corner of the internet, we are in the middle of a short mini series that I do every year on women in leadership. And so be sure that you tune into the rest of the guests that I will have on the show, because they're each bringing years of experience and wisdom, of course, but just different perspectives, because they're all leading in different capacities and spheres of influence. So I know that you will be encouraged as you tune in to each of those episodes. But nonetheless, I want to welcome to the show my friend, Lindsey Hurlbut. And I specifically want to emphasize this week, we are going to be talking about leading in the marketplace, being a woman of faith in the marketplace. How do you run a business and still be a woman of faith and not compromising your values and the things that you hold as true? So without further ado, thank you for joining me, Lindsey. Let us know a little bit about you and where you're joining us from.
Oh man, Susan, thank you for having me. So I am joining you from rural Minnesota. So I am in Sauk Center, Minnesota, and I am a chiropractor. So I own a chiropractic clinic called Arrow Health, and we have really grown into an integrated wellness clinic. So we offer beyond just chiropractic. We have acupuncture, massage therapy, cranial sacral therapy, physical therapy, and direct primary care medicine. So it's a lot in a small space and a lot for a small community.
Yeah, and that's so awesome. So tell us a little bit. I'm just thinking about people who maybe aren't familiar with that area of Minnesota. That's where we're located, is in Minnesota. How big is your community?
It's about 5,000 people in Sauk Center. But what drew me to Sauk Center, well, that's a whole nother podcast episode. But what is fascinating about Sauk Center is, even though it is a small size, it's actually like a hub. You get a draw just because of the two main intersections, or the two main roads that intersect there. Highway 71, and then we have the interstate of 94, right? There's just kind of a hub there between the cities to Alexandria, Fargo, and then northern Minnesota down to like southern Wilmer area. There's really a kind of a centralization right where I'm at, that we can get a draw from a very large area, and it doesn't take them very long to get there.
Yeah.
It's a very centralized location, which is fantastic.
That's great. And how long have you been there? Like the business has been there?
It has been a chiropractic business for over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
The building that I am in. So there have been 3 chiropractic owners. However, I purchased the practice almost 6 years ago, and that is when it transitioned to become Arrow Health.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we were talking before we started recording that you're actually adding on. So
Yes.
Tell us just really briefly about that.
So we are in a season of expansion. So we are doubling the size of the chiropractic clinic. And I should start referring to it more as a wellness clinic, because it has, like I said, it has expanded beyond just chiropractic, which was the vision that I was originally given. So we're doubling the space, and we are with that allowing just more breathing room, more availability for each provider within the space to be able to grow and have a higher impact to more people.
Mm. Oh, that's so exciting. And like we were sharing earlier, it's busy. I mean, that's a lot of work and conversations and decisions, big decisions, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
it's so exciting to see things start to unfold and take shape, I'm sure.
It's a whirlwind, but it's exciting, and I don't feel like I felt overly stressed about it. There are points where it has been stressful, don't get me wrong, but really, for the most part, it has been a very positive, a very good experience. Yeah.
Good, good. So tell us, what is the heartbeat behind your business and how does that help guide your company and the decisions that you make?
So I would say the heartbeat behind Arrow Health would be that vision. From the get-go, even the name Arrow Health, I knew I would say that the Lord kind of influenced me, right? That it was always meant to be more than just chiropractic. Because otherwise, I would have put chiropractic in my business name. It would
Mm,
have been Arrow Chiropractic or something along those lines. But I knew that it was meant to be more of a full integrated medical or wellness experience.
okay.
Mhm.
And so how does that help guide your decisions? Are there more rooms available or is your building is full?
Right now, the building is max capacity.
Okay.
So we are expanding from 1,400 square feet to just shy of 3,000 square feet is what we're doing right now. But really, we will have room for maybe two more providers
Okay.
within the space, but this is allowing us to not have so much room sharing because right now we're having to share all of our rooms. It's been humbling. It's been good. It's been a great growth experience and has allowed for us as small businesses to really work together, right? As we grow versus, you think about as a small business when you're just first starting out, to take on full rent of a full space is really something that's very scary, right? So to
Right.
be able to almost room share and office share and grow in that capacity, and now it's like, oh, no sweat, I can now, I have the enough business behind me that I can actually grow and expand, and it's out of a place of comfort, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say the decisions for me and how that has impacted the decisions as an owner is that I'm not just making decisions for the chiropractic office. I'm making decisions for the bigger vision, being mindful of, well, this is what would work best for me, but is this what's going to be most versatile moving forward? Is this what's going to allow for things that haven't been illuminated to me yet, things that are coming down the line, and I just want to be ready for whatever that may be. Not that anything is necessarily permanent when you're well, it feels permanent when they're pouring concrete, but
The concrete is a little permanent.
so but even with that, like things can flex and grow and change, and I think I've just been more, I would say, versatile because of that vision.
I love that. So it's easy in business to get caught up in the many tasks and business components. And I feel like you and I could do a whole separate
Yeah.
episode and we could just talk about a day in the life of a chiropractor who owns a
Yeah.
business.
Right.
But how do you steward that and still value the person coming through your door and not just as, oh, the next appointment?
Yes, this hits me to my core because this is something that is of such utmost importance to me because I never want somebody to feel like they are just a number. I don't
Mhm.
want somebody to feel like they are not cared about as they're being cared for. I strive to really make that connection with patients as they come in through the door. I don't want them to feel rushed. All of those things are just so important to me. And I don't know that there's I don't feel like there's enough of that in healthcare in general, where you're not experiencing the exact opposite of what I just described, right? But when you're talking about true healing, not only physically, but even emotionally to spiritually, you need to be given that space to
Yeah.
be allowed that healing process, right?
Hmm.
And if it's being rushed and so forth. So, how do I do that? Hats. I have hats that I have to like mentally picture that I am like putting on this hat and putting on a different hat and allotting my schedule accordingly. So when I am with patients, I have to put on my doctor hat and I don't take it off. I don't check emails. I don't do other tasks. I have to focus on that person that is with me in that moment and try to just let everything else just pass by.
Yeah.
Right? And then I do have to carve away and set aside times where I'm like, I don't see patients on such and such day because that is my dedicated time to wear this other hat because I have all these other tasks that I need to do. Right. But that is what I have found helps me stay sane, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I can imagine that you have heard some very positive and heartfelt feedback about that, because to your point, that is lacking,
Yeah.
really. I mean, I have seen it in just this season that I'm in with my dad, and I mean, we have such a large care team, and not everybody is super great at connecting, not only with patients overall, but especially the elderly, and being able to communicate with them. And so I can imagine that people who do walk through your door already know that I matter here, and I'm not just the next appointment.
Yeah. And not just with me, it's really interesting. Even the other providers in this space have commented how my other chiropractor that works with me, she has said multiple times, she's like, where I used to work, people wouldn't really dig deeper than their current complaint, right? But she is like, here, she's like, I have no idea. They will walk into the room and just like spill everything out. And it's just, she's like, I don't even understand. I'm not even probing for these questions. And they're just like pouring their heart out to me in a way that is, she's kind of dumbfounded, right? And I'm like, makes sense to me. Like that's the space that we have really invited and created,
Mhm.
in our specific approach. That is what I hope and pray that people continue to do that and to feel comfortable and to feel welcomed and loved, because what's going to lead to their healing.
Yeah, yeah. I think, and I'm just curious what your thoughts are. I think the other approach that we're all familiar with, we've all encountered that kind of environment where
Mhm.
we're just kind of rushed along, and it,
Yeah.
it feels transactional to me.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. And so do you feel that just together, not just you, but together, all of the providers under this roof, then you've worked together to cultivate that type of environment there?
I would say so. And it's not even that it's not a requirement. It's kind of an unwritten underlying, maybe that is the heartbeat, right? It's all of us have the same approach of treating people how we truly want to be treated. None of us want the poor experience, the rushed provider, somebody being, nitpicky about billing right there in the moment. It's like that's a separate conversation. Like in the here and in the now, we're focusing on your needs, right? And we'll figure out the other stuff after the fact.
Mm, so good, Lindsay. Wow. That's so good and so needed. Wow. Praise the Lord for just your heart, and really all of you, just your heart to offer that kind of safe environment where, hey, we're glad that you're here. You're our priority during this half hour or whatever it is that you're with your patients, and I'm focused on you and your needs. Oh, so good. So good. All right. So we know that you are a woman of faith, and I know that you love the Lord. I've spent some time with you. I know that about you. I know that your heart loves the Lord and you really just want to bear fruit for him and shine a light in your community for the Lord. But we also know that not every business can be front facing in their faith. And it may be those of you listening, you're maybe new to that term. What that means is you're not overtly announcing that you are a person of faith. So, for example, if you were going to go into a Bible bookstore, that would be front facing because you know what they're about and what they're doing. So, how do you incorporate your faith in your business and the many decisions you have to make?
Right. So that is a constant, I want to say, balancing act, because I want to be front facing. I would prefer that. But also, there is like I said, kind of a balance, because you want to reach the masses in a way that is welcoming to those who aren't necessarily seeking that. But then once they experience it, they're like, "Ooh, I like this."
Mm.
Right? So immediately when people come into my business, they will notice the music. So we have praise music on 24/7, and that is something that people comment on, and they usually for the positive. They're encouraging about that, like, "Hey, what playlist is this, or what radio station is this?" Well, like, they want to mimic it, or they enjoy it. That, or they just don't say anything.
Sure.
Right? So there's that. We do have some Christian decor up as well, just mild. Like, my business color is teal, so there's a teal cross that is hanging in there, and it's subtle, but it's present, and you can really, when you recognize it, it stands out. But if you're not looking for it, it's not overwhelming, right?
Mhm.
Like I said, it's more of a good balance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that those are really great and applicable examples of how you can still hold true to your values and continue to be this woman of faith without compromising things, even though maybe the business that you have isn't front facing. I think, and just talking about worship music just playing overhead, I mean, that in and of is so calming and it's so
Mhm.
peaceful. And I mean, I think about some of the worship songs that are really written from like scripture passages, and so those are being, just kind of spoken over the
Mhm.
rooms and just the entryway and all of that.
Yeah.
So good. So I want to ask you, you were sharing a little bit before we started recording, and that is about marketing. Tell us a little bit about your perspective on marketing and how you have just been seeing really God do it, really, because
Yeah.
well, I'll let you tell the story.
Okay.
You can tell it
um
better than me.
Well, so I get people that ask me, or they question, or they assume that because we are seeing success and we're seeing growth, that I must just be pouring a bunch of resources into some sort of strategic marketing plan. And I wish I was that smart. I wish I it's not that I am completely hands off when it comes to marketing. I feel like we have a very well designed website. We have other approaches, but I'm not on social media every day. I'm not I I probably do bare bones minimum when it comes to newspaper advertisements and that sort of thing. Majority is word of mouth and people just finding us, and I to the point that I know that I cannot take credit for the growth that we have, other than the credit would be me just doing the best that I can do,
Mhm.
right? And through that, and through the other providers doing the same, it's just curating this excellent word of mouth that has led to a lot of our growth. And when we do put ourselves out there, whether it's a newspaper ad or being in the local parade or doing things of that nature, then it's just met with positivity,
Yeah.
right? Like it's more so just saying like, hey, we are still here, but it's never been out of a place of necessity in terms of I must get my name out there or I'm going to sink. That's never been a worry or a I mean, praise the Lord. That's the only thing that I can
Yeah.
attribute that to.
Yeah. I think that that can be really freeing to a lot of people because it's easy living in the world to get just kind of distracted in that striving, and I
Mhm.
have to do all of these different things, and yet I mean I just feel like God is the great marketer. I mean
Right.
I mean, he is the one that really puts, and I don't know how he does it, but he puts people or ministries or businesses or whatever it is in front of the right people. And
Yeah.
he's the multiplier. And I mean, I can't figure it out. I don't know how he does
Mm.
it, but he just does. Would you say
Right.
that that's been your experience?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I wish I had I feel like I would feel like a and that's an odd thing because I know that I'm a successful business person, but I feel like I would be able to wear more of a badge if that were the truth. If I were like, yes, well, I do this amazing, expansive marketing, all this SEO and all of these things, but I just don't. And I just show up and I do my best and I just trust. And like we talked about earlier, it's being obedient in also just that anticipation. Just knowing that the Lord has kind of promised fruitfulness. And so I'm just expecting.
Mm, that's so good. So good. Oh, I just love all of that. So, we're kind of coming toward the end of our time together, but I'm thinking about the women listening who maybe are just starting out. God has placed a vision, put a dream in their heart, and they feel like 2025 is the year I'm supposed to step out and launch whatever it is that God is leading them to do. And so first of all, and then I want you to offer some wisdom to someone who is maybe more established in their business or ministry or whatever it is. But first, can you just speak to the woman who is just starting, like she's just really beginning to take those first steps. I mean, if you think back, when you were first starting, what what maybe could you offer that new
Yeah.
business owner?
First and foremost, I would say you can't be afraid to try.
Oh, come on. Wow, that's so good.
Like it's easy to just let fear stop you, but if you don't try, then you'll never know and you'll never I don't know. There are challenges. There's always going to be challenges that arise. But you just take those challenges and you jump those hurdles as they come rather than letting a potential future hurdle stop you from even starting.
Mm, that's so good. Oh, so good. I love that. So good. And when you think back to your early years,
Yeah.
I mean, there had to have been just a little like,
So I started I have been a chiropractor for 12 years. So the first 6 years I worked for somebody else. Then I decided that it was time for me to start on my own. I had a 5-month-old baby at home and we opened up, right? Because that's a faith step on its own, like to open up a business with an
yeah.
infant. And then it was less than 6 months later and
Oh,
and COVID hit, right? So, and then it was the whole season of can I be open? Am I supposed to be open? Am I considered an essential thing? Right? All of the stuff. And so we made it through that. And then I explained to you a little bit. We had that tree that fell on my clinic. That was 4 years ago yesterday. And that, like, a tree crushed half of the clinic, and I had to navigate through that. So it wasn't without seasons of hard, but even through that, I can look back and be like, wow, through COVID, we still grew,
Wow.
right? With the tree falling on and like crushing my business, it actually opened the door to all of these other providers. And that's what created me into the integrated practice that I am today. Because prior to that, it was just me.
Wow.
So through the hurdles, that is actually what some of the times that I have seen the biggest growth.
Mm, mm. I think that that's so important. You make such a powerful point there that the obstacles oftentimes are the the catalyst for growth.
Right.
And I think that sometimes, especially when we're just starting out and
Yeah.
though we start to face obstacles, immediately it can be easy to start to question, like, oh man, maybe I stepped out too soon, or I'm ahead of God, or I'm, maybe doing the wrong thing. How do you stay out of your head that way?
Ooh. I
I just put you on the spot.
I don't always stay out of my head, right? There are times that those thoughts sit there and ruminate and in unhealthy patterns, but I think that is where coming back to those truths, back to those promises, and it's always trying to circle back on. And now it's fun because I can go back and be like, well, I can see how God was navigating and pulling me through all of those things, right? So now it's like the next thing comes and I'm like, okay, Lord, what are we doing here? And it's almost more of excitement and anticipation versus fear. But I would say circling back to biblical truths is of utmost importance, but also surrounding yourself with those faithful people, because those are the ones that you're going to, out of your venting, out of your frustration, out of your hardness in those seasons, you're going to turn to those faithful friends that are going to keep you, like, in those truths, and they're going to speak that life to you and help you rein it in.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because the people that we have speaking into our life, that's really important. And I think that when we're facing obstacles and uncertainty and just, oh my goodness, this just is, it's hard. It just feels hard. They can help speak into just the different thoughts that we're having and remind us of, well, this is what God said. And this is why you said yes. And this is why, because, to your point, it is easy to get stuck up here,
Yes.
especially when it gets hard. I mean, and opening a business, what'd you say, 4 months later, and then COVID hit?
Yeah.
Wow. And so how soon after that then did the incident with the tree happen?
That would have been, man, making me do math. That would have been, I suppose, the following summer.
Okay.
COVID would have been 2020, right? And then the next year, 2021, was when we had that storm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so, some of what I'm hearing is, to you, new business person listening, that obstacles will come and there will be really hard seasons, but don't let that deter you from what God said. So that's so great. And then finally, thinking about the woman listening who, maybe she's been in business for a while and she's in a hard season, or just feeling just the mundane of the day-to-day tasks, and can you speak to her? I mean, how do you keep going? How do you keep flourishing? And yeah, so speak into that.
I would say important for me, in especially in my field, but I think this would be applicable to most anybody, is you have to find ways to remain in that passion point of what you're doing and why you're doing it. right? Because if I found myself like so many people in my profession, and all of a sudden they're focusing on the numbers and the financials and that gain, right? Versus the people and who they're reaching and how they're helping them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very easy thing to kind of switch places the longer that you're going. And for me, just trying to keep that passion point on the people, right? So I get excited and I get refueled when I see a person come in and after a couple visits, all of a sudden they went from not being able to turn their head at all to now they can look over their shoulder and check their blind spot, right?
Wow.
And I get excited. I'm like, yes, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Or that baby that was screaming mad for weeks on end and now all of a sudden they're sleeping, right? So you just get these changes and you can just, to me that helps me kind of stay in my passion. But I would speak to the person that is kind of feeling just in a slump. um just like not being afraid to try, like don't be afraid to try something new, try
Oh,
something different, right? So maybe to rekindle what you loved, even if it's staying in the same profession, there are ways that you can kind of rekindle that fire and learn. For me, it's sometimes learning something new that I can apply, right?
okay.
So, but if it's somebody else, again, you could try to learn a new skill or new thing to apply to your current situation, or don't be afraid to completely try something different. If you just because you've invested so much time and effort and energy into something, if you're not feeling connected to that anymore, I think it's okay to make a shift and a change,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
I mean, God does that,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, a big thing for me as a business owner and as an employer and just a leader, being prayerful. Being prayerful in what in my own life, but shifting that and becoming more prayerful directly in my business, whether that is prayerfully walking around my business, which is something that we have incorporated for the last few years, or being prayerful before meetings and before decisions. That's somewhat strange to say, but it's somewhat newer to me to bring that in so consistently. And I have found that to be very important.
Mm, that's so good. It's, inviting the Lord into those different aspects. And because like we were talking, I mean, he knows all the answers. He knows, what direction to take
Yeah.
and just it's that reliance, that constant reliance on him. And I love that you encouraged women who are maybe feeling I just don't feel passionate about this anymore. And I don't know. I don't know what that is or where that's coming from, but to not feel embarrassed or shame about that. Maybe
Uh,
God is wanting to bring you into something new. The call is still there. Maybe it's just a different avenue in which he wants to use that gift that's lying within you. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that. And I just think it's important to remember that God leads us and he has good things for us, and it's not his heart for us to constantly just feel drained and in a slump, and we just hate getting up to the alarm clock and going into work. He wants us to enjoy our lives and the things that he's called us to. So
yeah.
if that's you listening, I just really feel impressed upon my heart that there's somebody listening that's maybe feeling that way. And so Lindsay and I just want to encourage you that it's okay to feel that way and that there's no shame here. God isn't disappointed or mad at you, but to go to him and be honest with him about how you're feeling and invite him into that space of your heart and in your thoughts and allow him to show you and maybe even give you new direction or a different steps that maybe you could take. yeah, I just really felt impressed upon my heart to encourage somebody listening that way. But Lindsey, this has been so good. I feel like this conversation clearly could have gone, I mean, just on and on and on. You have just such a wealth of wisdom to offer. And so thank you so much for everything that you've shared this week and the value that you've added to the listening community and even to myself. I mean, just listening to you and how God was speaking through you, I know was not only an encouragement to our listeners, but to me as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you reaching out and having me on the show. And this is new for me. So again, not being afraid to try new things, right?
There we go. There we go. Sometimes we just got to do it afraid.
You just got to do it. Do it anyway.
Yeah, just do it. All right. Thank you, ladies, for tuning in. We were so glad that you were here. It's an honor to connect with you in the online space. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you right back here next time. Thank you for joining the conversation this week. I hope you'll join us again next week. And if you're new here, a big welcome to you. I humbly encourage you to follow and to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. A new episode is available each and every Wednesday. It's free to subscribe. It's free to follow. I won't bother you with any annoying emails. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Susan Vandenhoevel to be encouraged throughout the week and updated on future ministry events.